Hello fam, it's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we're going to do the week 2 update on the 3 test knives that I've been testing for July. I'm going to steal Jacob's line. It is a beautiful day here in New Hampshire, bright and early, just got up with the dogs. They are hanging out, eating grass, living their best life. So we're going to do an update and just talk knives for a little bit. So the 3 knives that I'm testing for the month are the Para 3 with the Applied Weapons Tech Agent Scales. We've got the Spartan Harsey folder, the 3.25, so this is the smaller one. And we have the TRM Neutron2, which was wearing titanium scales, but now it has blue G10, which I explained why I switched them in my last video, basically just for testing purposes. So let's go over what I've noticed in the 2 weeks that I've been carrying these all day, every day, and using them. We'll start with the Para 3 because there's not like a ton to say about it. The agent scales are great. I noticed a few days ago when I was using this that there was a little bit of a hot spot with this stock clip, and that was kind of the first time I've ever experienced a hot spot with this. So basically, the stock clip is kind of trash, and I really like throwing a deep carry clip on these, whether it's a Lynch or an MXG or something. I just feel like the stock Spyderco clips are really long, and they ride way too far down the body of the knife. So if you're doing a grip like this and you're consistently pushing like that, cutting thick cardboard or something like that, it just, after a while, it just doesn't feel that great, especially when you're putting a lot of force behind your cut. I don't understand why the clip is like basically the same size as the knife, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. So that doesn't necessarily have to do with the scales, it's more or less the clip, but this swell right here in conjunction with the length of the clip was kind of just like a lot of material being pushed into the center of my hand, and it didn't really feel that great during like one specific cut. But aside from that, everything is great with this. The S45VN is behaving exactly like it should. It's production S45VN, which is really good stuff, and when it's treated correctly, it's, in my opinion, one of the best EDC steels, especially in sharpening. It's like fairly easy to sharpen. It keeps a razor edge for quite some time, and as long as you don't raise it up too high in grit during sharpening, it shouldn't glass out on you. Like if you do a 600 grit DMT and leave it at that, it should keep its tooth for a while. So honestly, this is absolutely fantastic. I love the Para 3. These scales are fantastic so far. The Spyderco is starting to wear off, but you have to remember this is in my pocket with like a bunch of other tools for 12 hours a day. So great stuff so far. Let's talk about the Spartan next. I was using this side by side with an Emerson Mini A100 and a Benchmade 940 this week because I feel like they are very comparable in length, size, blade shape, and kind of like the hard use capabilities. I still stand by that. I actually feel that the Spartan so far is like the best of all of those knives combined, because you get like a decently thick blade, but the refinement of this design is like spot on, because the Emerson Mini A100 is just like a tank of a knife. It's a hard use knife, and it's basically a sharpened pry bar, which is great if you want a multi-tool of a knife, which does exist, and that's exactly what it is, but it can be too thick for a lot of people. And then the Benchmade 940 is a little more refined than the Emerson Mini A100. It's thinner, it's slimmer, it's more sleek. It's also very long though. Like it's a long knife, and even the blade length on it is like, I think it's the longest knife that I have other than my Spyderco Endura, or Endella, I'm sorry. So the 940 is great. It's just like a really long knife, and I feel like the Spartan so far is kind of the best of those worlds put into a perfectly sized package with way better quality control, but it's like still capable of all those things. It really is. I've been prying with this. I know You guys don't believe in that, but on Erica's planet, we pry with our knives when they're capable of doing so, if we have nothing else around to use. So I've been prying and, wedging with this, doing a lot of hard use stuff with it, and it's incredible. And the way that they treated this steel, it's really, really tough. Like, this S45VN is way different than this one. This is production. This is more of a like custom heat treat if I were to put a label on it. It's double cryoed. I mean, that's cool. And I mentioned in one of my previous videos that this on the stones feels like Maximate, and I still stand by that. I've been working with this more. It feels like Maximate when you're touching it up and when you're sharpening it. And I'm not talking about geometry, guys. I'm not talking about geometry. I'm not talking about blade stock thickness. Like aside from that, the way the steel moves on a strop and on a stone, literally the way the steel moves feels like Maximate. So for the peanut gallery that's like, you can't say that, it feels like that because it's so thick. Of course it's going to take longer. I'm not talking about that. It's not hard to differentiate blade thickness from the way the actual steel composition moves on a stone. Does that make sense? I understand it's going to take longer because this is way thicker than your penis, and your penis. It's thick. I get that. The literal steel itself is moving differently. Get it? Okay. So the S45VN, it's feeling a lot like Maximate when I'm working with it. It takes a little while for that burr to come up, and it's very like subtle at first, and you almost don't know if it's there. But then when it does come up, it's there. And the edge that it's keeping, it just feels a lot like Maximate. It's just it just feels very hard, okay? It just feels very, very hard. And it's great because when I am doing things like poking and prying with this, especially with that tip, oh, it's so good for picking knots and like doing drilling. It's untouched by it. This is just kind of a rock of a knife. It's rock solid so far. The build is incredible. The action is amazing. I mean, this thing is so clogged with literal shit right now. It's not even funny, and the action is still just incredible. Like, this should be really not working that well. It's pretty gummed up. It's disgusting. I need to clean it. But just absolutely flawless every time. Dropping, I mean, it's great. And the only thing I can complain about so far is just it's a little sharp. It's just like a little sharp, and I feel like for some people it's going to be uncomfortable in terms of like these sharp edges all around. But they're not really bothering me, especially because this isn't a knife that I'm picking to work with for extended periods of time. This is like my multi-tool knife right now. This is my poking, prying, messy cutting tool, and I'm not doing continuous work with it where those are going to create hot spots, but I feel like they maybe would if you were doing extended periods of time using this. Also, people have been asking if I think that it's worth the money, because this was $455, and no, I didn't buy it recently when my life was falling apart and I was about to be homeless. This is not a purchase that I made during that. Obviously, I made this when I thought everything was going great. So, do I think it's worth $455? Yes, I do. People seem to disagree with me, but the standard version of this in plain titanium is like $325, $350, something like that, and I think that's fair. And I think that with the artwork that this has on this particular one, that's what's raising the price, and I do think it's worth $455. The artwork, the anodizing that they did on this, all of that stuff put into this, all of the little touches, I do think it's worth the money, and I'm sorry that you guys don't agree, but when you pay for a tool that is perfect and it has beautiful artwork on it, it just raises the price. I mean, look at this. That's pretty crazy. And that's like literally engraved into the knife. So So far, I have to say, I think it's worth it. Spartan is great so far. I'm genuinely loving this knife. Sorry, the dogs are starting to play, and they're tripping on me. Yeah, so there's that. And Mrs. Romy's. Auntie's trying to do a video. She's fresh. She's a fresh little baby. Okay, let's try to get over the Neutron real quick before she starts up again. So the Neutron. Problems I had upon arrival were the pocket clip. The pocket clip just doesn't work. I had to take it off because it's that bad. TRM is shipping me a new one that should work, but the retention was so strong on it, there was nothing I could do in my power to get that to not be so rigid. And I did try many things, guys. It just didn't work. The only other problem I had upon arrival with this is the fact that it doesn't come with the O-rings. TRM, if you're listening, just put the fucking O-rings in with the knife, for the love of Christ. Like, please just give people the option of getting the O-rings with the knife for no charge, okay? Everyone's screaming that. I personally don't care, but Peanut Gallery is pissed. So I had leftover O-rings from my first Neutron that I threw on this halfway through the testing just to try it. Not noticing a big difference between having the O-rings and not. If I really, really, really had to choose, and this was at my throat, and I had to decide whether or not the O-rings were worth it, I guess they are. Maybe it's a hair easier to deploy the blade when you have the O-rings, but I genuinely am not noticing a difference. Installation of the scales, 100% blowing my mind. Super easy, not sure why other people aren't doing it. You literally just take the two body screws out, throw your new scales on. I wish all knives were that easy. Centering is still 100% perfect. Okay. Haven't cleaned it out since I got it. Just absolutely super smooth. Everything about this is beautiful and perfect so far. I'm obsessed with it. The 20 CV did not perform as well during my testing yesterday as the Benchmade M4. For what that's worth, it was not able to keep up with M4, but this has been fantastic in use so far. The titanium scales were absolutely amazing, but too heavy for my liking. I think they're 2.95 ounces and these are 2.5. I'm liking these much better carry-wise than the titanium. This is a knife that I don't want to get rid of. I really am liking it in my collection so far. It's great, guys. It's really great so far, and I'm excited every day to, use this alongside the other two. Just continue to test it, continue to see what it's capable of. We are going to butcher a wild rabbit with it. The dogs got 2 in one day the other week. Like, within hours of each other, just bam, bam, got both. So we're gonna butcher that with this at some point. It's in the freezer right now. I need to thaw it out so that we can take care of it. We're gonna do that with this just for fun. Any other updates? I'll obviously tell you guys what I think of the new pocket clip when it gets here. It's on the way. I'll throw that on here and we'll see what it's capable of. And I know that my Benchmade clips do fit on here, and I could put that on right now, but I don't mind waiting like one day to get my pocket clip and having this in my pocket. Oh, and let's just do a housing update because everyone's been asking. I didn't want to put it at the beginning of the video because some of you guys don't give a shit, which I don't blame you. We've raised around $10,000 between the GoFundMe and private donations, and Brian from Transparent Knives, he did a raffle. We're at about $10,000, which makes me want to cry all day because I'm so grateful for you guys. If you don't know why we're running a GoFundMe, I have the video explaining what happened a few videos back on the channel. It's labeled What Really Happened with Ohio and River's Edge Cutlery. Yeah, you guys have been so beyond supportive and loving and compassionate and caring. I can't even express how grateful I am. I really can't. Nicole and I really needed that. This is very difficult for us. We didn't want to do the GoFundMe. It was you guys that said you need to start one up because you deserve it with this particular situation. And we're just, there's nothing available still, so nothing has changed. All the donation money is just like sitting in my account right now. It has not been utilized because I'm just holding it and hoping that we can find something before we're in tents. There's just nothing available. There's nothing for rent, and everything that you could buy is, you know, $600,000 and up. So that's just like not going to work. But we're just praying, guys, please keep us in your prayers. We're just trying to find something to live in by September. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm kind of just thinking with that money, I might be able to like almost bribe someone to let us rent something if I can say like, look, I have like 6 months rent right here in cash that I can give you if we can live here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm hoping that something comes up. It's just tough with all the dogs, but I'm hoping that because I have that money, I can use it as a tool to be like, please, like, trust us to live here. I will pay you 6 months out to live in this place. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just letting that money sit there right now until I figure out what we're doing, because there's just nothing. We're in contact with like 12 real estate agents. Like, all I do is phone calls and business calls and meetings to try to find something, but it's really hard with all the dogs, and we're not getting rid of them. They are family, and we shouldn't have to. You know, where I am right now, this homestead, this giant fucking beautiful homestead that we have, that when we came here, that was supposed to be home forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're allowed to have that many dogs here. Like, we built the sanctuary for the dogs. Look at how big this is. We built that for them. Kane. And the only reason that we were going to leave to go to Ohio was because we were promised that we could literally have that same thing out there, and that it would be taken care of for us. You know, like, I would have never agreed to it if that wasn't the plan, but that was the plan. Like, we were told we would have the same thing out there, and unfortunately we fell for it and believed this very large presence in the EDC community, because we genuinely didn't think that he would you know, tell us that we could go there, we would leave here, and then it never actually existed. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not going to get rid of my dogs, because it's not like I got them in an irresponsible manner. My plan was to stay here forever with them, unless I could literally recreate this somewhere else. So, you know, that's why I feel the way I feel. Yeah. So there's the update, guys. I think that's it for today. Like I said, please keep us in your prayers. If you don't pray, keep us in your thoughts. That's all I can really ask for at this point. And thank you so much for all your help, all the donations, everything that you've given us. Thank you. I cannot express how grateful I am. The only thing I can think to do is, you know, say thank you and continue to make content for you guys, because I'm not just gonna like sulk in my room all day. I need to like just shut the fuck up sometimes and pump out my content, keep working, you know, 6-7 days a week, and try my hardest to make something work for my family. So, with that being said, go use your shit. I will see you guys soon on the next video. Love you all. Say goodbye, Mr. Bibbies. How could you tell that face to go to a shelter? How? He loves his mom.